All right, here we go, guys. Wednesday night, just past 7:30 p.m. You are tuned in right now to the Breaking Apart podcast, live here on Vegas Sports Hype Media. I am not your host, but I'm tuned in tonight with the ladies of Breaking Apart podcast. I am joined by Ruby and, of course, Vanessa of the Breaking Apart podcast tonight here live.
It's just called Vegas Hype Media.
That's what I said.
You said Vegas Hype Sports.
Oh, I'm sorry, Vegas Hype Media. I'm so used to doing sports shows here, but Vegas Hype Media Breaking Apart podcast. We are live tonight, Thanksgiving edition. Thank you for letting me introduce you ladies tonight. Ruby's getting mad because her bets aren't hitting, so she's slamming the table over here.
Oh, I'm not betting. It's not. It didn't let me bet.
Not betting tonight. Okay.
No,
Cool,
I already
cool,
bet.
cool.
I already won.
But ladies, are you ready for tonight? Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
I wasn't gonna be here, and I am, but thank you for allowing me to be here as you do every
Thank you
single
for being
week.
here and opening the show.
That was good.
Yeah. Oh my
trying.
goodness.
Just trying to do what I can when I can.
I wish I can get a bomb.
I know.
Like Funk Flex.
That was really, really good.
So what's up, ladies? How you doing tonight?
Good.
Amazing.
How are you?
Good. Ready to go?
You got a haircut?
That's why I'm not. That's why. Thank you for noticing. I don't have a hat on tonight. I did get a haircut. Just finished my show, so I have to promote my sponsor. He's my barber, so you know.
You
Big
have
shout
the
out to Eric
pompita
Navarro.
going on.
Just a little bit, you know.
All right.
Is that what you guys call it? You call it the pompita?
The comb over the comb.
Oh. The
I like
pompita.
it. I wish my son would choose either a really short haircut or just long because he likes that in between.
Gotcha.
So it's like constant haircuts. And like,
Gets fuzzy at times too soon.
yeah, and he doesn't, and haircuts for men, I remember they were like, I don't know, they started off at $15, you know, when my kid was little. And now they're like, with tip, over $100.
Well, it depends where you go, because it's funny you bring that up, because I was talking about that earlier with my barber today too, because you know prices went up because his shop prices went up, and I'm like, I remember when cuts when I was a kid were $5-10.
Where do you get a haircut at?
My barber Eric Navarro, he's a good barber of mine. He's off of Ann Road in Simmons. He's at 5 Star Barbershop, but he actually started cutting my hair during the pandemic when everyone else was closed. I met him through someone else, and I was like, I'm gonna stick with this guy. He's still hooking me up and cutting my hair, and now we're back and we can go into the shop. So just stuck with him, man. You know what I mean? You gotta support local businesses as well.
You know, too, I would take my son, I'm like, it's just a haircut. And I would take him to like places that would charge like $15-20 for a men's cut, you know, usually like the little Hispanic shops. That's where they do. And my son one day finally spoke up. Poor thing. He was suffering in silence, and he was like, Mom, can I go to like a real barber? And I was like, oh, you should have just told me. And he's like, okay, well, I want to go to a real barber. And I'm like, and I told him why. She's good. And he's like, she doesn't listen. Like, I'll tell her what I want, and then she'll be like, and she'll still do whatever she wants. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. So then he went to a couple different barbers, and they were like medium range price, you know, and I was like, all right. And then someone was like, you need to go to this barber, right? And he went there for, you know, the first time he went, and we were there for like an hour. They did like a whole consultation.
What?
Yeah. And I mean, he's like obsessed now. Like, he loved it. Like, they gave him literally exactly what he asked for. He was like, all right, I want this.
But that's what a haircut should be, right?
And then, yeah, but like they do that to us, like us women. That's exactly what they do. But I've never seen like a guy, especially my son, that he likes that like medium length, like where it's still kind of wispy in front, and I don't know. But anyway, yeah, the barber did, it's a chick too. She did exactly what he wanted.
Nice.
Like,
Barbers make really good money.
oh, they do. They do, Ruby.
Yeah, they do.
Takes time, but they do eventually.
They do, don't they? Interesting. I don't see none of that.
Well,
Is this a whole nother conversation for another show that you're trying to bring up now?
My
or
son's
what?
dad is a barber. He owns multiple barber shops.
What's the name?
Joe's and Legends.
Never heard of it.
Well, you're on the other side of town? You're not on the east side, are you?
Northeast.
Yeah. Well, no, but people don't be greedy. Your kids, their haircuts, it's worth it. Like, you know, it's a thing for the boys. It's like a real thing. And
It's funny how you guys saw my haircut and we got into a whole haircut conversation about our kids.
maybe
now.
that's what we should talk about is haircuts. I'm just kidding.
Thanksgiving haircuts. I mean, Thanksgiving's tomorrow. A few
Oh,
hours
yeah.
away.
But you know what though? Like, I don't think people realize like hair is serious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember one time my mom and you get what you pay for.
Correct.
And it goes the other way. Like Vanna Show was here, she'll be talking about it. She's a hairstylist,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
She's really good.
She's
too.
really good. She does my hair. And like I always tell people at work, they love my hair. You get what you pay for. You know, like period. And that goes for men too. Right? But I'm laughing at you because like in those Mexican spots, they really do whatever they want. I remember one time my mom came out crying and she's like, it was the place next to Los Compadres on Bonanza.
Wow, you putting them out there like that?
They're not around anymore.
Oh, okay. I was about to say that's kind of messed up if you're doing that right
They might be there.
now. Uh-oh.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. Do better. So she came out crying because they did something she didn't ask for. And it happens a lot in those, when you don't pay, I mean, customer service comes with good quality too. You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like,
True.
so you guys don't be cheap. Get your kids some good haircuts.
My aunt-
Ladies.
No, listen, my aunt, she gets like a really short haircut, and she's been going to the same haircut place, like the same salon, from like my first haircut.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and I'm like literally months away from being 40, and she still goes there. And I got like my very first, little girl haircut there, and they do. I'm sorry to say this, but she was like, "Yeah, they give me the worst haircuts."
Oh, no.
And her daughter's like, "Why do you keep going?" And then she's like, "Because the chisme is so good."
Oh, my God.
The cheese man.
Las viejas con el chisme.
You know, my brothers, when they were younger, my mom used to take them to a Mexican lady all the time. And then finally, my brothers were like, dude, help us out. Like, take us to a barber shop. And I was like, no, you guys, just go where my mom takes you. I'm really busy. So I took my brothers to this barber shop. And I met my son's dad.
And the rest is history.
And the rest is history.
So I don't go to barbershops anymore.
Jeez.
You had one bad
I stay
experience.
away from barbershops. I don't want to do no Yelp reviews.
Well, if you go to LXVE Studios, which is where my son gets his haircut,
Okay.
and you got to check out Sosa. He's the owner. He's super, super, super cool. And a friend of mine, Buku, he was here for the bartending one. He introduced us to him, and he started off in this small little, just like renting a small little room off of like Buffalo, I think. And he gives you like the best service, like this really good coffee. Like he outdoes himself, and he gives you like the best customer service and the best haircuts. He has like celebrity clients and stuff like that. A lot of like big names here in Vegas. And he's worked so hard. I think he's from the East Coast. He's worked so hard that now he opened up his dream barbershop.
Nice.
A little bit up by Summerlin. So I want to give a shout out to Sosa and RD the barber, Drix, Lupita, who cuts my son's hair.
It sounds like a lot of like sponsorship.
Because we love them.
Sign us up.
No, it's
Bring the
honestly,
contract.
guys, honestly, I'm sure there's lots of really good barbershops, but my personal experience, that one is one of the best here in.
Talk about barbershops, like shout
not
out to
the
other
best.
barbers like working hella
Yes.
late because tomorrow is
Thanksgiving.
I know.
Thanksgiving.
I know. I had to cancel my son's appointment because he felt really sick this morning. And I was telling him, and I know their policy. I work on appointment as well, so I felt bad. But my son, sick and all, was like, "I'll go, Mom." I'm like, "No, you can get everyone sick there."
Yeah.
True.
And I was like, "Guys, I'm sorry, but I know your policy, but my son is sick, and I would hate to get everyone sick." And barbers work off of tips and what they, if they don't work, they don't get paid,
Definitely.
Yeah.
and they make. No, just kidding, Ruby.
Anyway, so are you guys ready for Thanksgiving?
Let's move on to the topic at
Yes.
hand here. Thanksgiving tomorrow night, obviously.
Yeah, you guys ready? Y'all cook anything, age anything, prepare anything?
I age every time I cook on Thanksgiving.
I like that one. That
Every
was a good one.
time I have to
Oh my
cook, I age.
Yes, the food isn't aged, but I sure am.
I do. How many
You're
Thanksgivings
so
have I
God.
funny. So how do you guys like, okay, so Vanessa and I want to talk about Thanksgiving
Go
because we
for it,
want to
yeah.
talk about like, you know how there's like the whole opinion on Thanksgiving,
Correct.
right? Thanksgiving is not what we say it is.
It's not, guys.
It's something horrible.
True, if we're talking about factual.
And even then, every Thanksgiving, as we eat about 10 million pounds of turkey.
Uf, tamales también.
Oh, tamales all year, baby. soon as shit drops under 80 degrees, we're eating tamales and
Tamales,
menudos.
pozole,
By
and
the way,
albóndigas.
I grew up thinking that tamales was like an actual tradition, like a Mexican tradition to
lied
eat.
to you.
And then when I meet my husband, he like was born and raised in Mexico. He's like, "Why are you guys eating tamales?" And I'm like, "Isn't that what you guys eat?" And he's like, "No."
We eat this every day.
Yeah,
We don't just
basically,
eat
it's
this
like
on
tamales
Thanksgiving.
is just like something that you might eat like on the weekend,
Yeah.
and when like you wake up really early, you go buy tamales. He's like, but for the holidays, they have like proper meals.
So
That's not a proper meal.
you are you two
Con
from
frijoles
Vegas?
y arroz.
And I'm from California.
Okay, so
I'm
you
from
probably
Mexico.
know, but you're from Mexico. Okay, so I grew up in LA.
Uh-huh.
I grew up where Monday through Sunday, I'm talking about every day of the week, 6 a.m. All you ever heard was the little sound of the shopping
Yes.
cart, and you heard tamales, champurrado every single morning.
Oh my god, that's the best.
That was the best. I'm talking about those are tamales. Like if I can go back to Cali right now and go get some and come back tomorrow, I would do it. Like those are tamales. Like
Yes.
those people were out all night making them right to the crack of dawn to get you fresh tamales.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Do you guys remember, and I don't know if you guys had this, but in Inglewood, we used to have like trailers, and then they'll pop the trailer open, and then they had like a whole like marqueta in there.
Oh yes,
like a farmer's market type of
a
thing.
farmer's market
Yeah.
in a truck.
Yes. do you
Yes,
remember
they
that?
still have that.
They do.
All
And
the
they'll sell-
produce you can find and everything
Yes.
just on two walls of the inside of the truck when you walk in.
Yeah.
Boxes
Yeah.
of mangoes.
Oh my
boxes-
God.
All fresh fruit,
And then
or
they'll have,
fresh as
like,
they call it.
had like lime and like chile, and they're like, oh, it's $2. I'm like, ¿quieres que lo prepare? And I'm like, duh.
Duh, of course. Why would I,
I don't know
not?
how to cut no
Do you
damn
know that
coconut.
that's like culture in Mexico? Like when you go and you go to I don't know, they call it
Mercado.
mercado. When you go to the mercado, like they give you samples of anything.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if you pick up something, you're like, I want to taste that one.
They tell you, mira, mijo,
Yeah.
try it.
It's
They
like
know.
the best. There's no like, obviously when Saulo moved out here, he was like, gosh, your guys, like everything has to be so sanitary. He's like, and I think that's cool. He's like, but over there, like we don't even, I don't know. He's like, that's why maybe a lot of people get sick when they go out to Mexico, because your stomachs have no bacteria in it. But you're so sensitive, but because you're eating from just like, here, take this.
You're eating
take
from
this."
everything.
From everything.
But the food is so good out there.
so
though. Man, I
good.
love going to Tijuana and eating tacos and hot dogs and all that.
But
Ah,
the
man.
tamales
Tamales
used to
are
be
where it is.
used to be a Thanksgiving tradition for sure, and Christmas in my family. But no
Christmas
more.
for sure. Thanksgiving more every now and then, but Christmas for sure was always like hanging out with mi tia 3 days before Christmas, making the tamales,
Oh, and
getting everything ready,
buñuelos.
making all buñuelos.
my
Oh,
God.
damn.
Yeah, my grandma used to make those.
My aunt used to drink rompope. Remember
Oh,
rompope?
Oh, yeah.
So she would have rompope
rompope.
while she's making the tamales. Mijo, where's your mom? Oh, she's not coming for another. Okay, come here. Yeah, quick little shot. As a kid,
Or the
just try
spiked
it.
up like ponche
Yeah,
con
exactly.
caña. Oh my!
You had all the fruits and
gosh.
everything.
Yeah,
that
and
was the original jungle juice. That was jungle juice right there for
Yes,
sure.
That was like a fact.
Oh, yeah.
You waited all year to see them big ass cañas
Cañas.
in the rest.
And you were a kid, and you knew that was the only time you were gonna sneak in that drink throughout the year.
That's the only time all the people were. And then like I'm Christian, but I'd be waiting because the posadas.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like 12 days of gaining 12 pounds. Like,
Food and alcohol.
oh
Do they
man.
have posadas here?
They do have posadas here.
Okay.
Yeah, they have posadas here. But now they want to talk about tamales. Did you know that technically there's no proof that turkey was the first original meal that they had at like the first Thanksgiving?
I believe you, but tell me more.
So I'll tell you.
What did they eat? They go to Chick-fil-A or what?
Chick-fil-A?
If it was on Sunday, it was closed. So I don't think they
It
made
says it just says that there was no proof that there was no proof that that was even on the menu, because lobster, seal, and swan were also very popular in those days. Deer. Those were all other options that could have been on the table.
So then where did the whole narrative of being a turkey come out? Do you
It could
have
have
that?
happened over time. Like originally, what I learned, I read about Thanksgiving a while back. I think my son was in 7th grade, and I was helping him do his history, and I was reading some stuff, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, I learned that, because I didn't remember any of it. I'm like, and it talked about how they conquered the Americas and all that stuff. And basically, I started to read more about it, and I started to want to learn a little bit more. Bless you.
Yeah.
Salud.
And so basically, I'm just gonna say European. When the Europeans, came and they discovered, which they didn't discover because there was already people there. It actually talks about the fact that the Native Americans and the Europeans had already had a relationship. The Native Americans would go back and forth to Europe, and when the Europeans actually went and were there was because the Native Americans had enemies and they needed protection because, even though they didn't believe in the property of land, people can kind of take over. Tribes could have taken over, and they were getting beat by this other tribe. I can't pronounce the name of the Native Americans that, did the whole celebrating and the feast and all of that with the Europeans, but it's a very long name. But yeah, like it was kind of at the beginning, it was meant to be a relationship of like, okay, we're gonna teach you everything we know, and you're gonna protect us. And then it went from when the Europeans knew everything that they needed to know. That's when they started taking a little bit more advantage. They started taking the Native Americans as slaves. They started converting. Obviously Native Americans, they believe in gods. They didn't believe in a god. They didn't, believe in Jesus and all of that. So they converted them, and there's a story that's in my son's history book. I don't know if it's real or not, but it talks about how the princess and the Native Americans and the princess, they told her that she had to become Christian or else they would kill them, and they did that in a lot of places. And she decided to do it. She decided to convert because she wanted to save her tribe, and she converted, and then they still slaughtered a bunch of people, and they still took them as slaves. And
Interesting.
So that's where Christianity kind of like started spreading.
So as far as the part where you're saying like they wanted to take the knowledge from the Native Americans, so when the 13 colonies were created, they moved to this country because they were rebelling against the laws in the part of Europe that they had came to. Right. So they ran away because they disagree with the laws where they were living. Mm-hmm. So they came to this country, and that's when they built the 13 colonies. And that's when they wrote the letter where it's like every land of the free. That's where that comes from. Right. Land of the free. They basically wrote a letter promoting how beautiful, Virginia and all that area, the first 13 colonies were, and why people should come move to this country. But part of the reason that in that area that they moved from, they didn't want to follow the rules is the queen at that time was against slavery. That was one of the things. So in order for them to be able to justify land of the free and slavery, they had to create like something, right? So they kind of, what they did was they were able to bring slaves in ships. And just to let people know, there were already black people here. There were already black natives here, right? Not all Native Americans were brown, and then people have that all twisted, right? Because at one point all the continents were together. So prior to them bringing black people from Africa, there were black people in this country, in this continent, that they don't really talk about in the history books. So what they did was they measured the skulls of the European men, and they measured the skulls of the black man. And when they realized that the skulls of the white men tend to be bigger, they justified having slavery by saying they're not as intelligent as us, so they're not worthy of leading, but so this is why they're slaves, because their skulls are smaller. And along those lines too, they did the same thing with Native Americans. They try to pretend they had a peace treaty with the Native Americans, and they will try to what's that I'm looking for? Like they were trying to take them out of their ways, like the way they live, the way they use the animals,
their way of living,
and they wanted to make it more sophisticated to the eye of the European. So what they did is when they started kind of notarizing everything they were doing, and they were writing everything down, and they were saying how they were killing animals and how they used spears and how they walked around, and they start calling them savages, right? So their way to get rid of the Native Americans where they made them look like monsters and savages, which meant they made them look as inhumane. So they justified pushing all the Native Americans out of their land by saying you're inhumane, you're a savage, you're not human worth, right? And that was both of their justification for black slavery and Native American slavery was by manipulating whatever they didn't understand and using it for that.
That hasn't changed.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and chime in for some people on Facebook here. Just let some people know. We really appreciate everyone chiming in tonight, watching Breaking Apart podcast here on Vegas Hype Media Network. We have Joanna, LaDonna, Tano, and Glenn chiming in on Facebook. We really appreciate you. Joanna says, hey, beauties. I guess I'm a beauty tonight. I don't know.
Hey.
She says, laugh out loud, Chick-fil-A. She heard my Chick-fil-A comment. We appreciate that. Tano says, yo, happy early Thanksgiving, y'all.
Hey.
And then Glenn chimes in, which is pretty awesome because we were talking about the whole turkey thing and how turkey came about, right? So he says, colonists had hunted wild turkeys during autumn of 1621. And since turkey is a uniquely American and scrumptious bird, it gained traction as a Thanksgiving meal of choice for Americans after Lincoln declared Thanksgiving a national holiday in 1863. So Google says, and LaDonna also says, did I mention how much I enjoy this show?
Aw,
Thank you.
Okay, so now we know about the turkey.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It makes sense. You know, it said, I read yesterday that Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, he's the one that declared Thanksgiving a holiday. And because it was attracting tourists. So I think with that said, they use whatever they could, because I remember this in school for sure. I remember that a lot of the foods, let's say traditional foods that we would have for Thanksgiving, they were like, that didn't even exist back then.
No.
You know, so like they're not traditional. Like that's not what the Pilgrims had. That's not what the Native American were harvesting, you know?
So let me ask you a question about that. I'm glad you bring that up because I literally was just thinking the exact same thing. Times have changed. We're in a different era. It's 2021. It's not the 90s. It's not the 80s, depending on when you were born. Thanksgivings are a lot different. Have you guys changed things up in your personal Thanksgivings throughout the years? Meaning maybe you've added this dish or this dish, or you've taken away a certain dish that you might have been used to having every single Thanksgiving that you're like, it doesn't really matter anymore. Or is it just your traditional turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, the regular stuff you're used to?
I've taken away turkey. Like once I became an adult, the turkey was gone because I don't like turkey at all, and neither does anybody in my household.
Okay.
So it was like pointless. Like if I made turkey and I made a ham, everyone ate the ham, no one ate the turkey. So
Okay.
obviously, because I age when I cook, I'm not going to make turkey anymore, you know?
Gotcha.
So we don't make turkey. We just make ham, you know, mashed potatoes, whatever. Like, I think there was like a year where we went out and had Italian,
Okay.
you know, because we celebrate more of like, it's a day of family getting together. We do tell each other, you know, what we're thankful for and stuff like that. But to be honest, I think it's going to be a holiday that, I mean, we might really not, how can I say, we're not going to celebrate as when I grew up celebrating, because my parents, you know, they were immigrants, so they came here and they were doing everything that Americans were doing. But us, obviously, we learn more. We kind of look into what the real meaning of things, especially right now. We're like the woke era.
Yeah.
You know, we want to know everything. We want to know the truth. We want, you know, transparency. So we look into it ourselves. And, you know, today, my son has a friend over, and I don't remember what we were talking about, but he said, he's like, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving at my house because, you know, he's black. And he's like, my mom is like, we're not going to celebrate slavery. Like, hell no. He's like, he's like, so we don't celebrate it at my
I never
house.
thought about it that way. That's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
honest
and
with you. That's a whole different thing. Yeah.
You know, like, I feel I did my DNA test and I'm like 50% European, and then I'm 50% indigenous. So like, you know, I choose my indigenous side, and I try to, my little one, she's too little, but you know, my son, he's older and he gets it. And I think he said, Mom, honestly, it doesn't even matter. As long as there's bomb food, he's like, I'm there.
So
I want just real quick. I know you're going to say
Okay.
something, but LaDonna cause she read my mind. So when they do that, I got to say, so she basically said, yes, we have. This is the first year I did not cook a traditional meal and I love it. I allowed everyone to choose what they wanted me to cook. So I wanted to ask you that as well. Do you guys believe now that Thanksgiving is not necessarily about what you cook, but more about the gathering and
Yes.
being with your family?
Yeah.
So
Yes,
I don't really
actually.
care for Thanksgiving.
Okay, so it's not just not for you.
It's just back to what Vanessa said about it being something that was so it's like, so we finally got rid of Columbus Day. I'll go to that. This is my view of things, because I get really, when it comes to history, I feel like we pick and choose what we want to keep in the history book. So for so long I was anti-Columbus Day, right? Why? Because he didn't discover this nation. Like there was no reason.
Country, yeah.
This country, there was like no reason for us to even had to ever have been celebrating that, right? So to me, Thanksgiving is a very similar holiday, right? We don't even understand why we're even celebrating it. So it's kind of like we don't want to forget about slavery. So should we forget about what Thanksgiving really meant? Can we pick and choose what's important and what's dear and what's not, right? So Thanksgiving is one of those that I'm just kind of like, it's never sat with me all the way.
It doesn't
you know?
resonate with you.
It doesn't. Like if I go to someone's house and they have food, great. If they don't. But I will never plan something at my house. It's just not, I mean, again, I feel like, I think we need to heal from these things, kind of like the whole slavery thing, and kind of how like, I'm not black, so I can't really speak on the slavery in this country, but what I can speak of is being Mexican and the border crossing over us and the West Coast ones belonging to us, right? And there's times where we still get emotional about it and we still bring it up,
Yeah.
right? Because and we need to heal and move forward, because at the end of the day, if this part of the United States still belonged to Mexico, I probably wouldn't have the opportunities that I have right now.
Yeah.
But there's an emotional attachment that we still need to heal from.
Yeah.
Same thing with Thanksgiving. Like, it's we don't really talk about it. So, and the fact that we only give importance to our family once a year is why so many times when people die, we're like, oh, because when you're alive, but nobody changes it.
Yeah.
We wait for holidays that are created to take more money away from us. We decorate our house, we spend all this money, and then you see your family that one time a year, and then you're not going to see them again. So to me, it's like a way to just be like, it's like we dumb down the importance of family and spending time together to these holidays that have been engraved in us with like a bloody background. And I'm just like, it doesn't sit well on me.
And what's crazy is that if you think about it, Thanksgiving is all screwed up, right? Overall, just the history of this country, if you think about it, we weren't here first. Christopher Columbus came later. And not only that, we're not even named after Christopher Columbus, and he technically discovered here. We're named after Amerigo Vespucci, which was literally, and I remember that from high school, and I Googled it just to make sure, he was an Italian merchant and a navigator. That's where they came up with the name America.
Yeah.
This guy has nothing to do with discovering, as they say, the United States of America, but yet the name America derived from his name.
It was very marketable.
Correct. It's crazy how there's so much intertwined into the whole Thanksgiving thing. And of course, like you guys, like you mentioned it, that's crazy. Like I never thought about it that way, that African American people would think, I'm not going to celebrate this holiday, because if you think about it, there's a lot of slavery behind it. And it's crazy to think that. And I'm 37 years old, and this is the first time I've ever even thought about that, because you mentioned it. So it's just crazy how everyone thinks of Thanksgiving in a different type of context and a different type of level.
Yeah.
Everyone feels a different way for it. And we have to be respectful to everyone's thoughts and visions and feelings when it comes to that. Because again, I never ever in my life thought an African American person would not celebrate Thanksgiving because of that until this very moment.
And they probably just started doing that because people are starting to actually want to know. Like in my household, for example, my dad made it a very huge, like we would get together a lot. My dad cooks amazing. So we would go to his house like every Sunday was like, or Saturday was dinner at my dad's. Okay. Since I can remember, it's a tradition. But Thanksgiving was a day where everyone had to get together because we were all like, we knew we had to make ourselves available that day. Sometimes my brother would come but Thanksgiving, we knew like we had to spend it all together as a family. And it was really important to my dad. By the way, hi, Dad. I love you. He's watching right now. Oh yeah, sorry.
Look at the camera, not the mic.
So you know, like that was really, really important in my house. Thanksgiving was for getting together and being a family and just spending time.
So Glenn said that's also a day that a lot of people have off, which is true. But since we're talking about a day that everyone has off, another thing that I'm like happy that people are starting to be woke about like Thanksgiving, and they're starting to be a little more like aware of what it really was, and hopefully we can shift it into something different. You know, cut off maybe the, you know, just shift it. I've been thinking a lot about how like there's so many unemployed people and like a lot of jobs are hiring. So someone was saying like, oh well, you know, people don't want to work, right? So now that we're talking about people having a lot of days off, I came with this conclusion that we're evolving so much, like as a like people, like generation. It is so easy to make money now that these companies need to start getting it together and raising how much, you know, raising their minimum wage,
Being better bosses.
and benefits, better process, treating people. I mean, you have kids making money off of NFTs. Crypto is like,
You got kids making money off of TikToks.
yeah.
Like, let's be
YouTube,
real. Let's be
everything.
real.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can make resell. Look at the sneaker game. Like, so it's like really good to see.
I'm sorry. This
We're
candle
we're
just-
marketing candles.
You can make money off candles.
Yes, you can just, you know, and that's why I feel like we need to start doing better, you know, and we need to start spending more time with our families and not allow just something like Thanksgiving to be it. You know, I'm really big on gathering. Like, I love gatherings. Like, even at work, like they're not making a Christmas party for us, and I'm like, we're having a party at my house, right? It's like the third reunion
With
at
2
my
drink
house.
tickets.
2 drink tickets.
Damn, y'all got drink tickets at the crib? Jeez. Y'all
I
making
mean,
it
I'm
like
one
that.
of those people. I feel like as humans, we lack that interaction. Like, we just don't have it. Everyone's on their phone. Everyone wants to do the solo cliche thing. Everyone just, you know, we lack that. I remember back in the day when, you know, every time like you had fights, every time De La Hoya was fighting, every time Morales, Barrera,
Julio
Marquez,
Cesar Chavez.
you know what I mean? All those fights, that's why we got together.
That's what it was.
That's
It wasn't about Thanksgiving. It wasn't about a
No.
holiday. Boxing or just an event that you can get together was different, man. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. Just holidays in general. Like, normally this time of year is tough for me, but this year's been good. So far, everything's going good, man. It's good. I'm hanging out with you two tonight. You guys convinced me to stay, even though I was going to dip out. But, you know what I mean? Thanksgiving, no matter what the history is, no matter what, you know, slavery and all that, at the end of the day, Thanksgiving is a day where we give thanks. We get
Yes.
together. And even though Ruby said it, it sucks that we do have to only use that one day to give thanks. We should give thanks every single day of the year,
Yes.
what we're thankful for. But sometimes that day does bring people together that you haven't seen in a while, that you haven't been able to hang out with. So that's why we
But
give thanks for those
why?
type of situations. Sometimes people have certain
yeah,
life.
or they live
Granted.
in other states and stuff like
Sometimes
that.
situations might be bad. You're fighting with someone, you have a family issue and all that. Sometimes it's just life. We're working, we live in another state, you know, we're far away, we can't make it all the time. That's why sometimes Thanksgiving is that day to give thanks. So I get it. We shouldn't wait for that day, but sometimes that's the only day we have when it comes to certain situations with our family.
Like, my brother lives in California. I live here in Vegas. My dad lives in the Caribbean. We can't see each other.
Oh, wow.
what part of the Caribbean?
He lives in Merida, Yucatan.
When are we going? I'm going to Chicago tomorrow.
Hey.
Wait,
yeah,
you're
we're
leaving
gonna
in
go
Chicago?
visit.
Did you just come back from New York?
I did just come back from New York.
Jesus Christ. So you're not going to spend Thanksgiving here? You're going to Chicago?
I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to the Shy. I'm going to go spend
are
it
you
with
going?
Kanye.
You're going to go see your Bulls lose again?
No, first of all, I'm a Laker fan. Let's retract.
Oh.
I'm a Laker fan. Okay.
Oh.
I think the Bulls are doing great. I think they're gonna do better. And actually, I am a stadium person. I don't know if you follow me on social media, but I go to the stadiums everywhere. That's kind of why I travel.
Okay.
And ever since I went to the NBA store in New York, I kind of like, dude, they had like these hats, these snapbacks, and they're like old school snapbacks. And that Raptors one got wrapped around my hand.
the old school Raptors one is
Oh
nice.
my goodness! So I feel like maybe I should start wearing whatever.
You talking about the one with the actual Raptor on it?
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's purple. The one when
Yes.
Vince Carter was playing. Yeah, so they
I
have
like
all of that.
throwbacks. I like old
Ooh, Me
school.
so they
The
had
Grizzlies one is pretty sick too. If we're talking about old school jerseys real quick, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think you should be able to wear whatever because you're a basketball fan.
I am a basketball fan.
And also think about it. Basketball players they're constantly moving around to different teams. And they
Yeah.
rep one team one day, they rep another team another day. So you know what? If you just like basketball, soccer, football, whatever, wear whatever you like. If a team comes out with a dope hat or jersey or something, rock it because you like the
Yeah.
sport.
I'm the same way. I wear hats. I got jerseys from other teams, and people are like, "How are you wearing that hat? You're not a fan of that." I like hats. If you know me and you've watched me, you know that I wear hats all the time. I don't have one tonight. I get that, but I think we're in an age now where it's not about supporting your team. I mean, if I'm gonna call people out and respectfully, Quan wore a Raider in a Raider hat and a shirt at one point, but that's not his team. But we're in Vegas. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, there's different scenarios. It's okay to support and just even if you're not a fan of the team, you might like the logo, you might like the
Yeah.
color, you might like the way it
I'm
looks
a
on
player.
you.
I like players. You know, like
Some
I was
people
a
like
Tracy
players,
McGrady
exactly.
fan, Vince Carter, Allen Iverson, and they all played for different teams. But anyways, I don't know how that happened. So back to Thanksgiving.
It's such a toxic holiday too, I guess.
It's such I wonder like, and you know what else? Like I'm gonna start prepping us for next week's conversation.
Oh yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom, boom.
So the other thing about holiday season is, man, side chicks get it hard this season, huh?
Oh man, we gonna talk about side chicks.
We're gonna talk about side
Hey
chicks.
baby, I love you. I don't have a side chick. We're just talking about it, okay? I just wanted to let you know before you
gonna-
get mad and call me up. I know you're texting me right now. It's all good. Don't worry.
We're gonna talk about today's generation and how being a side chick it's a cool thing and accepting.
It's a
and,
cool thing?
I mean, for the side chicks.
Oh.
Yeah. Right.
No, I didn't.
So I seen this
explain.
video, which this is why I want to
Holiday
talk about it
side chick
next week.
season?
Yeah, it's like holiday. It's like you got to get her a bigger purse so she won't show up. You know what I mean?
It's funny.
Anyway, so I saw a video where it was this girl and she was breaking down like why girls are okay with taking men who are in relationships or why they're okay with still seeing a wedding ring or a wedding band and taking and still trying to get with these men. And and she talks about how like a lot of it's insecure and competition, right? Because when you think you won something, what does that do?
It
Makes
boosts
you
your
feel good.
self-esteem.
It boosts your self-esteem, right? And when you feel like you're in competition with something and you are able to beat that competition, what does that do?
Ooh, me. Just kidding.
Yes,
I have an answer.
Vanessa?
I don't know. Say the question
No,
again.
please, Vanessa.
It you have to say it again.
It's because
Forgot what
she
you were
she already cooked Thanksgiving.
My brain is
I'm
fried.
getting her fish oil. That's it. That's what you get
for
for
Christmas. Oh my god, that's so funny.
No, I said, when you're in competition with someone and then you take their man, that makes you what? That makes you
A
feel
winner.
good. Hey, not really.
That makes you feel superior.
That makes you feel superior.
You were the better
and like,
one.
there are females that literally will go after a female's man
Oh, I know someone
out of
like
competition, right?
And-
So we're gonna backtrack. Like I have an issue with disloyalty. Those people that know me know like I'm a very loyal person, especially even my friends. Like loyalty is everything to me. But if we go back to the child support episode, there's nothing worse than being a side chick to a man when there's children involved. Right?
Correct.
And then you want to play stepmom once you win the man. And he's at your house and now y'all living together and now you want to play stepmom. But that's a subject for when can you bring your kids around the new girl and the new guy.
So wait, you talk about side chicks though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
How about side guys? As funny as that sounds, there's a lot of women that might be intrigued or enticed by a married man that has a ring on their finger, whether you're out at a bar or hanging out, or you just want that competition, like Ruby just said, right? You want that sense of like, I'm competing with someone and this feels good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys out there that probably, I mean, I'm not that. If I was ever single, I wouldn't go after a married woman. No way in hell. There's no point. I just don't see it. But there's guys, and I've met guys, and I have friends that are single that are insane to that point where they're attracted to someone that's taken, not necessarily married, but taken. Now, do you think the number is higher? Well, what I mean by that, do you think there's more women that go out there looking for men, or not looking, but that are more intrigued by a man that is taken, not necessarily married? Or do you think it's about 50-50 with men and women?
I think it's 50-50. I
I think it's
actually
more women.
discovered a while back that there's actually a website where you can, if you are you have to be married though. If you're married or in a relationship or something and you want to have a relationship, you can join with another person. So that's being a side chick or a side guy. And
That's called a triangle. That's called Jada
No.
And
Well,
Smith.
I mean, whatever you want to call it, but you're basically going behind your partner's
An
an
entanglement.
entanglement. You're going behind your partner's back and obviously having an affair with someone else, and it's like, it doesn't matter, boys and girls. There's loads to choose from, so I think it's 50-50, honestly.
I think it's gross.
Did you see what Adana posted on Facebook? She goes,
Swingers.
side guys. Do men consider themselves side guys or conquerors?
Oh,
I can't answer that question because I'll be honest with you. When I've been single, I've never gone after a woman that was taken. You know what I mean? I've spoken to women that are coming out of relationships, that are
Yeah.
still kind of tied, but never jumped into someone that's with someone. Like I ain't trying to fight nobody. Let's be honest. I'm not scared. I'm not a pussy. I'll fight anyone. I don't care how big you are.
why do we call? Wait,
but-
why do we call it a pussy?
Okay, I'm
Like,
not
why are
scared.
we- why-
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. I'm not scared of anyone. I'll put it to you that way out of respect because I know some people don't like the other phrase. I apologize. But I'm not scared of anyone. I'll fight anyone. Let's be real. Like, even if I lose, I'm going to fight someone. I'm not going to stand back and be that guy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But I don't know, man. I do not ever. I mean, I love you, baby. I'm married. I'm not going anywhere. But what I'm saying is, if I was single, I can't see myself going after someone that's taken. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you put yourself into that situation?
I don't even date someone that's been single for a year.
In my mind,
What?
So if
Okay.
if I meet you, if I ask you how long have you been single and it's been months, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take a step back
Okay.
because she might still be crazy, dude. Let me tell you, I was in a situation. I've gone on dates and I've had girls try to like be in my like blow my phone up because of their boyfriends, and I'm super chill. Like I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, because I would never, right? I'm like. And I'm one of those people where I think I piss the females off more because I'm so supportive. I'm like, girl, you could do better, queen. Like, come to church with me. And they're like, bitch, you was with my man eating sushi. And I'm like, I did not know. I do
Yeah.
apologize. And that's why I always ask people, I've learned, how long have you been single for? And then if it's since some while, like 3 months, 4 months, I'm like, I'm going to head out. Reach out to me in a year
Hit me up.
because I don't
once
know.
you're single.
A level from 0 to 100. I don't know how crazy your ex is. And I have a son. And I have a bad temper. A very bad temper.
And within the first couple of months, that's the
Go ahead,
time.
Reiki.
That's the time when people are still like entangled. So they might still get back together. They might still be involved. Like it really does. Like, I mean, not in all relationships. Obviously, some people, when they're done and that's it.
That's me.
But I do think that people do in the first couple of months still kind of, they're not fully
They're still
detached.
banging each other.
I mean, maybe, or at least trying to figure out. It's really rare that you have a mutual agreement of like separation.
Yeah.
Usually it's one or the other. So someone's going to try to like still be in the mix and all of that.
Mhm.
But I don't know.
So LaDonna chimes in on Facebook, and then she commented right after. She actually read my mind, but she fixed it. She says, because men are afraid of their emotions, and if they can hit with no commitment, that's the ideal situation. Some men, not all. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I was single, after me and my ex-wife broke up, I had those situations where I did meet women or whatever it was, but I was always straightforward. If you're not looking for anything crazy, just have a good time, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about I'm just here to hit it and quit it type of thing, but
Yeah.
I was honest and straightforward with a lot of people when I was single. When I was actually looking for something, if something was there, then it was a whole different conversation, right? But kind of what she said, I don't think all men are like that. I'm very open about my emotions. I don't care. I'll cry,
Yeah.
I'll bitch, I'll moan, I'll tell you everything in front of you. I'm not one to hide behind a wall and be like, oh no, I'm strong, I'm a man, I don't care. No, I'll throw it out there. But not all men are out there just to hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
And if we're being honest, some
They're gonna
women
hit
are
it a
out there.
couple times.
Okay, I'll give you an example. If a guy that's average looking goes to a club and tries to hit on a woman that looks like a dime piece, is fine, and knows what she wants, he's probably gonna get thrown to the side and say, nope, you're not my time, or you're not about what I want, right? Depending on what he looks like or what he brings to the table. But then if a guy goes into a club and hits on a heavier set woman, someone with lower self-esteem, someone that doesn't have
You're
anyone
gonna
hitting
get
on them,
yourself in trouble.
that woman is going to give it up right away with no problem. So you can't just say that there's men that are out there just looking to hit it and quit it, because there's also women that are out there looking to do the exact same thing. Let's be real. Right? Am I being honest? I'm not saying it's you
Oh,
two.
no,
I'm not
I-
saying
Oh
it's
no,
you
you
out there.
no, you're
But-
right. You're hella
But-
yeah, and it's so much easier
it's hard
for
to say
a
that
female.
the man exactly. Not necessarily, depending on the female is what I'm trying to get to.
So much
Now,
easier
again,
for the female
Not
to
all
hit it
men
and
are
quit
saints.
it.
Not all men are saints. I get that. I totally get that. But it goes both ways. There's women looking for the exact same thing that men are looking at when they're going out if they're single. Let's be real.
Especially now. Like, people are not into relationships right now.
I would agree. I would agree.
They are just about like
That time.
that. Yeah, like we're just gonna like hang out and like I don't want a title. There's
Yeah.
no title. I don't want to label
it's
anything.
so hard to ask someone what are you looking for because then they'd be scared.
Nowadays, people date.
Yeah.
They're not in a relationship. They're not, this is my guy, this is my girl, this is the person I'm seeing. It's I'm dating someone.
dating.
Yeah.
And then when you get to that point, dating someone can become, I'm going out with you, I'm going out with you, I'm
Yep.
going out
I
with this
said that to
person.
somebody
I'm
one
not in a
day.
relationship, I'm
Yeah.
dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it becomes that. And that's where we're at in this society
Yes.
now.
I don't know how people have time to do that.
You're like, I just want to go on
you
vacation.
can talk to different people, make conversation, but to be on different dates all the time, like I prefer to just date one person,
Yeah.
right? And just like don't have, man, imagine having to do your hair every time and your makeup every time and like dress nice every time.
Or having to make sure you don't say the wrong thing thinking you were hanging out with that other person, but you're hanging out with this one.
Like,
That's
remember
what
we
I
saw
said.
that movie?
I can't do that.
What movie? That wasn't me. Oh, it wasn't?
Yeah, right? Remember that one time?
Remember we went to that sushi place.
Babe, what was that one tequila we
Oh,
got messed
God.
up off of? I don't drink tequila. I'm allergic to it.
Wrong person.
Oh, wrong person.
Oops.
No, I was dreaming. I was just joking. I was watching a movie.
But that's just what I'm saying. Like, you're right, and that's why I feel like side chicks are like a thing, because I feel like side chicks don't want a relationship half of the time either. If they think it's cute, because a lot of times they can get what they want out of the guys, because now the guys have to make sure that they're happy so they won't tell the wife, right?
Or just to keep them around.
Yeah.
Because so I actually, I don't know if I saw an interview or I read an article or whatever about the fact that side chicks have it better than the wives. Like, I mean,
I can
and
see
they
that. I
talk
can
about
see
it all
that.
the time. Like, the wife is the one that gets the grumpy husband, the tired husband, the one that's like, gets home from work, and the one that he vents to or whatever, So she gets that side. And the side chick gets the happy one, the one where he's just like,
The sex drive,
yeah,
everything.
like
We're being honest.
the gifts that
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I was thinking about you. Like, I want to take a vacation, but he wants to take a vacation with the fun one. He doesn't want to take a vacation with the one that, he probably had an argument with and all of that. He wants something, he wants to.
So you kind of making it sound like it's the wife's fault.
He's basically doing that based off of something that the wife isn't doing to bring
Or
it to the
vice
table.
versa. Or
But
vice versa.
I'm not saying that that's okay, because vice versa. You just said it.
But
Women do
I-
the same
I
thing. Men
feel
do the
like-
same thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think a lot of people that cheat, it's because there's something missing at home, right?
Yes,
and then you
100%.
think you go find this somewhere else, and that doesn't last either. And then, so do you keep finding a new side chick every time that one gets boring, or do you just talk to your significant other and you're like, bro, you're boring. How do we rekindle this?
I mean,
right?
in reality, that's what you should do. You should say, hey, you know what? Like, I feel lack of, but
I don't want to cheat on you, so let's just get in.
But see, if you get to the point where you're with a side chick, at that point you shouldn't even be married.
Yeah,
You shouldn't even
yeah.
be in a relationship. At that point, you should be single and dating, like I was
Yeah.
saying, just seeing people and being open about it. You know what I mean? At that point, why are you even in a relationship? If you feel that you need to go somewhere else because the sex isn't good, or the conversation isn't good, or the way that you're being loved or talked about isn't good, then don't go cheat on someone.
Yeah.
Just
Get out
break
of the
off.
relationship.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Get off of that relationship and then go live your life. Make yourself better. Make your life better before you try to get into someone else's life and possibly ruin their life or make it a part of what you're going through. Like, there's no point in cheating on people because it's all about sex. That's it at the end of the day. And if that's all you care about, then you don't care about the rest of the relationship, because you're out looking for something else that isn't at your doorstep. When you walk in that door and you get home, it's not there. And that's why you're looking someone else. If you get to that point, dip. Don't cheat on your wife. Don't cheat on your husband. Get a divorce. Call it quits. I know some people say divorce isn't good. They don't believe in divorce. You shouldn't go through it. You need to work it out. You decided to get into this marriage for a reason. But we live in a different age now.
Yeah.
Divorce is a very normal thing. I've been divorced before. I'm on my second marriage. It happens. But I've also gotten to the point where I told my wife, if I get to the point where something is tickling my fancy and I feel like I want to go somewhere else, I'm going to tell you, this is not working. I feel something different. I want to move on before I even make her look stupid. Or like they say, you know, let me know if I got some lipstick on my face before I get fucked, excuse my language, because that's what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would never put a woman through that situation because there's no point. And I hope that a woman wouldn't have to put a man through that situation either. If you feel it's done, move on.
No one should put each other through that situation, and no one should help another person put another person through that situation. And I mean, like, as a female, it's kind of like, to me, a female that messes with a married man or with a man in a relationship is the lowest a female can go. And it's like, what level of like low self-esteem are you, right? And the bad part is a lot of that starts from childhood, lack of attention from a father at a young age, right? Because I promise you, a lot of people that have had attention from their fathers and have been put on a pedestal of a princess are not okay with, you know, tiny time or not having the full attention of their man. So that's why we always talk about how important it is for children to be loved and taken care of, and why it's so important for both parents to be in the child's life if possible. Right.
Also, too, there's a book that I'm rereading. I read it about 10 years ago, and I'm reading it again. It's called The Mastery of Love, and it's an amazing book, guys, seriously. And it basically talks about, you know, different aspects of love and how end game is to love yourself, right? If you love yourself, you'll be able to love others unconditionally. Love yourself unconditionally. And it actually talks about that. It talks about how, because of the way we've been raised and conditioned with religion, when you feel so we have obviously our spiritual body, and then we have our mind, right? So our mind is automatically going to tell us what's right and what's wrong, because that's what we learn. But our spiritual body just does what it does, okay? Because your spiritual body is not conditioned. So when you see someone that you're attracted to, your hormones are automatically going to go on overdrive. Why? You're attracted to that person. They either stimulated your mind, they stimulated your eye because they're good looking and all of that. So your spiritual body is just going to act. It's going to be like, ooh. And your mind right away is going to say, no, this is a sin. This is that, blah, blah, whatever, you know? And so if that is happening to you and you're married, it's obviously, like Jose said, it's for a reason. So you should say, hey, there's something going on here. Like, I need to think of, why am I feeling this way for other people? But we start to blame ourselves for feeling certain things that are natural in the human body, right? Because our mind is thinking you're bad, 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 bad. But in reality, you should be like, okay, I'm having these feelings. I should go and figure out why I'm having these feelings, and go talk to your significant other, like you guys said. If there's a way to fix that, cool. If there isn't, then we need to go our separate ways, because you know what? I am feeling the way I was feeling about you. I'm now feeling about somebody else. So you need to, and people have side chicks or side dudes or whatever, because they think that that having a divorce, or, you know, letting down their family, or, you know, whatever the judgment that comes behind leaving your partner sometimes is, they think is worse than actually speaking their truth and then going with someone that they're truly, truly in love with. And also think about this. There's a lot of people that are with their partners for the wrong reasons.
Because they're comfortable. They're happy with the situation.
Yeah. So if you're with your partner for the wrong reasons, then it's obviously going to happen that you're going to go and you're going to meet someone that actually has a connection to you, like an actual genuine connection to you.
I also
know?
want to say something like, this is why it's so important for you as a man, or you as a girl, or woman, to understand that it's like your husband or your wife fell in love with someone, right? Mm-hmm. If you start changing completely who you are, then it's kind of like partially your fault, right? If your man fell for you because you dress nice and you maintain yourself and you're positive and you're driven and you're always waking up in a good mood and you do your hair and you do your makeup, and your man's like, that's who I fell in love with. Now you're unmotivated, you're lazy, you don't do your hair, you don't do your makeup. That's not the person your husband fell in love with, right? And I know you have to love him through good and bad.
And you age.
And you age, but it's the level of effort, right? Because you should always want to impress that person you're with, no matter what. always. And I feel like we lack that. Like, I mean, I'm not in a relationship, so
You like it for yourself?
I like that for myself.
Yeah,
Like
no, I get it.
I've had that conversation with my friends before. I'm like, dude, I sometimes I'm in a bun, sweats and no makeup all week, and I've noticed those are the weeks that I'm less motivated, less driven, less energy, not as happy. And the moment that I wake up and I do my hair and my makeup, I change, I'm like, boom, I'm enlightened. I'm like, let's go. So it's kind of like,
Does that bother you, like as a dude, like your wife, if you get home and she's in a bun and I mean I know
So I'll be honest with you. The way she dresses when she gets home, comfortableness, it doesn't matter to me. I'm a homebody. I don't mind that. Like I like being at home, hanging out with her, pajamas, sweats, whatever it may be. But I will agree. We all change in relationships. You know what I mean? My wife has changed. I've changed. You know, I'm not the same exact person that I was. I still do a lot of the little things and a lot of things that I used to do in the beginning part of our relationship, but I've also gotten comfortable. I'm pretty sure she has too. And that's just what happens in relationships. You get comfortable with people. Sometimes you may gain weight. You might start changing the way your hair looks or the way you dress, or maybe you don't get as good looking as you would like you used to. You know, it's the way it is. You get comfortable. That's the problem. You get content with the situation and you feel it's okay. This person's going to love me regardless of the fact, but we need to remember those little things, those things that did catch my wife, those things that did catch your husband, you know, or your baby daddy when it might have been, you know, whatever it might have been. What were those things that caught that person, that made that person want to be with you or be interested in you? We can't forget about those things. A lot of people say, well, I'm already with you. I love you. It doesn't matter. Us being here is what matters. No, every single detail matters, from the little things to the biggest things. In my opinion, me and my wife are still working on that. There's things that we've changed a lot. She doesn't cook as much as she used to, but that's not a problem. She works more than she used to. I love cooking. I have more time to be home, so I don't mind cooking. So there's always that in between as well where you can work with each other, but always remember what helped you catch that fish.
Right.
Don't ever forget that. Remember the bait that you used,
That's
because
what-
that
yeah.
bait needs to stay there for the rest of your relationship.
that's what I meant to say. Like, I agree with you. You know what I mean? Like, I think that, like, if you met me and, you know, I'm like a size 9 and I go up to a size 20, you got all the right to be like, hey, babe, what's up? But if you hit a size 20 and I'm at you, we're going to the gym together. Okay?
Yeah, seriously.
We're going on a diet together.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing. If one person, you know, changes or loses or gains weight or does that, it's always like there's the support system's not the same, right? Like,
But
you
when
go
it-
to the gym.
When it comes to weight, though, and I'll give you my personal experience real quick because I know we're running out of time, but
Yeah.
my wife still has a little bit of baby fat, and she's been trying to get rid of that since we've had our last son, right?
Amen.
Has she gained some weight since I met her? Yeah, but I tell her every single day. I smack her butt, I grab her, I hug her, I tell
That's
her.
so important.
And I tell her, babe, I love you. She's like, no, I'm so fat on this. I'm like, baby, if you feel you're that way, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's cool. Feel the way you want. I think you're perfect. I'm going to love you regardless. I still want to be with you. Still want to be intimate with you. I still want to do things with you on the sexual side. That doesn't matter to me. If you want to get better because you physically feel you want to get better for yourself, do it. I'm still happy. And that's the thing that a lot of men need to understand too. Our bodies are going to change in life. Your wife's not always going to be that supermodel, skinny, this, that, or thick, or whatever it is you may like. She might get skinnier. She might gain some weight. We need to love each other no matter what, man.
That's why I think like that spiritual deep connection has to
so
be
important.
very important, because it's like everything. Once you get older, you're going to age. You're going to lose your teeth, maybe, like so many things.
Your
And
mind.
Your mind. And hey, what's going to still be there is that connection. When you see those old couples together, that's what it is. It's that that soul connection.
So I keep looking at the phone. We have questions, but we don't have time. But we're definitely going to go into side chick
Yes.
next week.
Next week.
We're going to, you know, I'm going to look at some stats of like side chick, marriage.
Next week is gonna be a good
Yeah.
conversation.
Thank you for all the questions.
But thank you guys.
LaDonna.
And we're definitely going
We
to
love
talk
you.
about this next week in more detail. We just wanted to set it up. Thank you guys for being here.
Fun
Have
show,
a
yeah.
great Thanksgiving if you do
Thank
celebrate
you.
it.
Love each other.
Yeah, love
Gobble,
each other
gobble.
every day, not just on Thanksgiving. Put events together for your family. You guys can find me at Soy La Misma Ruby on Instagram. You can find our podcast at _pod at Instagram.
You can find me at agape_love_reiki.
You can find me on all things social media, Jose_Volonte, as you see on the screen right there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Quan.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Peace.
Peace. Don't be cheating out there this weekend.
Salud.
Zero.
Don't be cheating out there with the